This little thing right here was causing me a lot of problems, and I didn't catch it until recently. Ugh. I'm Melissa Mingo, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist as well as adult sex reeducator. And today I'm going to be talking about paragard, which is the copper IUD. It's a little bent right now because I've been demonstrating how it comes out of the cervix. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to be filming right now, and I'm also going to add in a video that I shot with Samantha Zipporah from CONTINUUM. She's an awesome woman who teaches women's fertility awareness, and she teaches women, educates them about different options. So let's get into it. Copper IUD, I originally got this about 3 years ago because I wanted a non-hormonal birth control. And I wanted something that I didn't need to think about and that I could just put in. Now, I already kind of felt what hormones did to my body, and it really felt, not quite good. And so I thought the copper would be something better. Here's the thing, is that even in the paragard pamphlet, I'm looking on my screen right now, even in the pamphlet and online, you won't see the company really talk about the side effects. And also as a sex educator, when I went to school and we were learning about the different options, we weren't taught, what else could come with that were really serious. And if you start Googling around and reading blogs and looking deeper, you're going to find that a lot of women were talking by the thousands, hundreds of thousands. Most women are having a lot of issues, and they are being treated for things like depression instead of this. So some symptoms that I started having early on was just, well, first of all, I just started having heavier periods. They were a lot longer and they were super heavy, but I was like, everything has its drawbacks, so I kept left it in, and it was great. I loved it otherwise. Then I started noticing infections, and which was really strange for me because I have a really great diet. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I'm not a smoker. There was all these things, and I take really good care of my pussy. So I knew that there was not a lot of bacteria and weird things being introduced in there. So it didn't make any sense. I took probiotics. I take vitamins. I'm pretty mineralized. It didn't make a lot of sense. And then as the year or two went by, I started noticing, a lack of inspiration, feeling really tired, really fatigued, couldn't get out of bed. But, I would just kind of pull through, having really strange thoughts, which were scary because I didn't have those kind of thoughts before, but they were really strange, is all I can say. And I didn't share this with anybody for a long time. So the copper IUD, the longer I had it, my body started feeling off. And I at first thought that it was because I, was getting older and perhaps, there was something else going on. I had no idea that was the copper. So even on the website on Paragard, the symptoms, they list nothing but abdominal pain, spotting, and that you'll have increased in menstrual flow. They also say that nothing is harmful about having excess copper in the body, and that the copper IUD doesn't put more copper in the body, which is false because I actually had blood tests done, and so I can prove that me and countless other women that I've seen have done this and have these same results. So if you have a copper IUD, you may not be feeling anything right now, or maybe if ever. There are rare cases of women that just don't have any other side effects, but pay attention because copper toxicity is a really big deal. So if you have like emotional stuff that's going on that you can't really explain, you're super stressed out, you're super exhausted, your mind's in a fog, you're not quite remembering the way that you used to, maybe you're more emotional, dry skin, cravings of like chocolate, which is a magnesium, loss of control, super stressed out, paranoid, palpitations, arthritis. There's all kinds of things that happen to your body when you have an excess of copper. And it could be caused by this. If you have one, it can also be caused from the water you're drinking, the pipes, and if you're taking an oral contraceptive, because that has copper as well. So you really have to pay attention. And I didn't know this until someone had brought it to my attention of the correlation between all these weird symptoms I was having and the copper IUD. Some other things that might happen to you is low blood pressure, obsessive thoughts, constipation, adverse reaction to vitamins and minerals, short attention span, feeling spacey. It was really, really, really strange. I started just not acting like myself. I didn't feel like myself, which was hard for me because I'm a pretty like upbeat person. I have a really low stress life. I'm really fulfilled in a lot of my life, so it didn't make sense to me. So one other resource that I want to give you is, let's see, there is a podcast with Julie Casper, and this is the Fertility Friday podcast where they talk about copper toxicity and IUD birth control specifically. It's the podcast episode 73, and I will put the link in there. Give it a listen. Also, you might look, what else is going on for other women and just see. If you're considering getting the copper IUD, please know that the doctor doesn't know any better. This isn't really out there. Like I said, as a sex educator, they teach us about it and talk about some of the symptoms that they share on their website, but they don't go into like, oh yeah, there's this other thing that happens that women are starting to notice and come forward with. The other thing is you may get some blood tests and see what that shows. I go into it in the next video with Samantha a little bit deeper, but I can't be quiet about this anymore. I've had people close to me, have issues. I've had a lot of issues. I feel like a completely different person now that I've removed it, which is another fun story. So hope you enjoyed the video, and please share this with other women. Share it with other women that are considering getting the IUD, and please share it. It's important information to get out there. So I'm Melissa Mango with Sex, Love, and Rocking the Soul. All right. Hey everybody, it's Melissa Mango here, and I'm just checking to make sure my recorder is recording this. And I have an awesome guest, special guest with me today, also a new good friend, Samantha Zipporah. Today we're going to be talking about copper IUDs. And the reason why I brought Samantha up here is because she specializes in women's beautiful vaginas and fertility. Would you like to go into that and explain a little bit about what you do? Okay.
Yeah, I have a background as a midwifery student and a birth doula. I worked at Planned Parenthood for several years, and right now I provide love and education for the womb continuum. So the whole continuum of having a womb, from your menstrual cycle to your orgasm to your ovulation, that's all related, and I'm here to provide guidance and resources for folks.
Wonderful. Yeah. And we just had you in Nevada City just recently, and you were teaching a class about this.
Yeah, conscious contraception.
Yes, which I think is so important. So Samantha, when you came to my home and I hosted it and you led the class, there was some sort of seed that was planted after, kind of listening to your class about the IUD. And I've had a copper IUD for about 3 years. And yeah, over the time, there's been some little information that's kind of seeped in here and there of like, that's not the best thing for our bodies. Now, I chose it because, number one, I don't want to have any more children. And number two, don't want to take any other chances. And also, I just didn't want to be on hormonal birth control. So I thought in my mind, this was a better fit. And so even as a sex educator, I thought, oh yeah, this is great. I can manage it. And I started having some symptoms that were kind of funky, but I didn't relate it to the IUD until much later. So when I sat with you, like I said, it just was kind of the last straw. So I'll back up the story a little bit. The last year or so has been pretty gnarly for me. I've been battling a lot of depression, which is very odd. I've never had an issue with depression. I started having just the kind of fatigue, like when you're pregnant, where I don't know if any of you listening have been pregnant before. Lethargic, can't get out of bed, which is very odd for me. Again, it took everything just to make it through my day. So I'm almost turning 40, and I thought, you know what, I need to get everything checked out. I got really extensive blood work done and sat with a local practitioner who I'm actually going to interview next.
Oh,
And she looked at my blood and was like, how are you even in my office right now? There was two alarming things that happened, and that was my iron was dangerously low, like in the single digits, and my magnesium was just in the toilet. And there was a couple other things that were kind of tweaky, but my adrenals were shot. There were some things going on there, and so she got me on just a really simple protocol. And I was thinking, well, if I'm not going to be vegan anymore, I mean, I'd rather just take care of my health than something else. I'd had my blood work done before as a vegan and partial vegetarian, and there was no issues. So it didn't make a lot of sense, but also I was open to like just new awarenesses. So I started this new protocol, and then your class happened right after that. And I don't know, there was just something that was like, I need to take care of this right now. So I started Googling around, or something came into my inbox, I don't remember which happened first, about copper toxicity. Now, copper is actually not harmful, but having too much can cause a lot of problems inside the body. And so I was finding blogs, I was finding videos, I was finding all this stuff, and some of it would mention the IUD, some of it would mention other forms of birth control that put it in your system, but also copper piping. But anyway, what I found out is like, deep depression, suicidal thoughts even, not feeling like yourself. And two specific things that rang true for me is that the iron, your body will leach iron and also magnesium. Specifically, that combination. And I found out women were taking zinc to kind of balance the copper. But anyway, what I found out was, and also that really rang true for me, is that it was causing all kinds of issues in my body. Like I was having constant BV, like ongoing. You and I talked about this. I was like, what is going on? I'm eating good. I'm not, drinking every day. It just didn't make sense. And then, just the mood swings and not feeling myself, having these really wicked, weird thoughts, that was scary. I thought, oh my God, is this what happens when you don't eat meat? I mean, just really weird stuff. I hear about people that have deficiencies and you kind of go wacko. Well, this was a different thing. So I call up Samantha, or I think I texted you, and I'm like, this needs to come out like right now.
Yeah.
And I think you were there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor or something. Or maybe I texted you after. I don't know. I go to the doctor.
In the waiting room. You're like, I'm going to get it out.
I'm getting this shit out now. I go to the doctor, and I'm like, I need to get this out. And she's like, well, we need to wait like 5 days for the right equipment. And I'm thinking, the right equipment? You're just going to reach up and pull this out, right? And I remember texting you just like, what do I do? Because we want to do the right things. We don't want to be careless. And sure, if it's implanted, we could have some issues and I could tear my uterus. That's possible, maybe. So yeah, I remember just contacting you and like going, what the fuck do I do? And then I think after we spoke, or maybe we just were texting still at that point, I watched a couple of videos of other women that had taken it out, talking about the same symptoms that I was talking about, the depression, the infections, what the hell is going on, lethargy, all kinds of things. And I just sat with it, and I think I texted you a little bit more, and I was like, all right, I'm doing this, and made this little kind of ceremony, and I'll I won't share all those details, but eventually got it out. I even had a friend offer to help me because her fingers were much longer than mine. But eventually I got it out, and it really wasn't that big of a deal, like what you were saying. And
like once you got a hold of the strings, right?
It took a little while. Like let's imagine the strings are here, and I'll go grab it here in just a second. But I'm just like I could barely like get my finger, and I would have to like squat, just really like and bear down, like pull it up and then just really bear down, and I just took a little bit of like, I couldn't quite get it right away, but once it just started slipping, it just was able to pull out.
You couldn't get the strings, right?
I couldn't quite get them, but I just
to clarify, because actually the most important thing for self-removal is that if you're grasping the strings securely and you tug and there's resistance, then stop.
Yeah. There
right?
wasn't.
But once you've actually grasped the strings, when you tug, everybody that I've talked to about it and supported with it, says it just slips right out.
Yeah.
And it's like an instantaneous thing.
Yeah, it felt, I mean, I was anticipating pain a little bit because I was like really psyching myself out, but
Sure.
also it almost felt like when you get a PAP, a lighter version of that if someone was to barely, swab your cervix a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, once getting it out and then taking the vitamin supplements that I've been doing and doing the B complex, iron, I feel like a completely different person. Just wake up with energy. My pussy is so happy too.
Happy pussy.
I had my first moon after that was out at Burning Man, and it was like lighter.
Different flow.
Completely different, because before it was just like gushing, like literally I'd be standing and it would just be like, wow, that's a lot for the body to.
Endometrium was pissed.
Yeah,
It had been irritated.
Yeah, it causes a inflammation. Is there anything else you want to share from your perspective on the IUD?
Circling back to the heart of what I want to offer people is the opportunity to make informed, consensual decisions, right? And I would never want this to come off as like, IUDs are all evil, no one should ever have them.
Right.
But I do think that before a healthcare provider places one, that they need to be really clear with the woman that they are putting an inanimate object in their uterus that is going to cause a continuous state of inflammation in their body, which is going to compromise their immune system. And it works through creating constant irritation in the endometrium, which, often causes excessive bleeding, it causes cramping. I've talked to a lot of women who can only have sex in like one or two very specific positions when they have an IUD placed inside of them, because the way that the womb contracts, they can't handle penetration or pressure from certain directions onto their cervix, and it's limiting and very much affects their sex life in that way. And the other way that the copper IUD works, besides the irritation and the inflammation, is by zapping the cells of the sperm.
Yes, like one of those fly
ions.
things.
Right? And I just feel like if they're destroying the cell membranes of sperm, like what are they doing to other cell membranes in your body that are just natural aspects? I don't know. There's an inanimate object in your body.
Yeah.
Not that that's an evil thing, but it's something to be aware of when you're having other issues in your life.
Yeah, it took about 2 years for me to have any of those symptoms.
And the string being like a little bacteria superhighway.
Sure.
I've had many, many clients in the last couple years who have had chronic bacterial vaginosis or issues with yeast infections, and their stress levels in their life are really managed. They're very mindful and conscious individuals. They have excellent diets. They're doing everything right in terms of supplements and herbs. And you are not the first person. You're like in a series of patterns of people that I was meeting that were having this chronic issue with discharge that had IUDs that then disappear when you remove the IUD.
Like, I remember talking to the nurse when I went in the first time, because I thought, this is weird. I haven't had this happen since in my early 20s. And she said, she gave me some sort of something, I don't remember what, and was saying that, just take that. And I said, well, could the IUD be, because it's just kind of in there floating around. Oh, no, that's not possible. And I even saw her a few times, and she gave me some more natural remedies, like the peroxide, a very light peroxide douche, using coconut oil and tea tree oil, all kinds of things. Use them all. And when I ended up taking out the IUD, as soon as I took it out and had my moon, I haven't taken any medication, haven't done anything, and my pussy is so much happier. And there's nothing like before.
Awesome.
Yay! So yeah, I want to just share this information with other women just so they
Yeah.
have a choice. And so that leads me to the next video that I think we're going to shoot here after this, and that is, you know, when I talk to women about contraception options, the IUD, once they realize, like, wow, okay, I'm having those same symptoms, either like, you know, physically or mentally, but what do I do when I take that out?
Right.
And so I know a couple clients that I actually told about the IUD, and that also I didn't, like just friends in my circle that are frightened of, you know, because they don't want to take any chances. And when we're given...
Let's tease that apart and talk about that with any sort of medical thing, but particularly with contraception and what your method is, and whether you're taking oral contraception or you have an IUD. Like, are you making decisions that are based on fear, or are you making decisions that are based on love,
Right.
that are in alignment with your values, right? And so the fear of pregnancy, like, right?
Right.
It's a serious problem, and it changes people's integrity,
Yeah.
right? In alignment with themselves. When you're making fear-based decisions, it's usually going to have a negative consequence.
Yeah, and then also just not having the awareness and coming from a more powerful place of just, yeah, I guess understanding your body. It's really not that complicated. I even saw some IUD ads that would say, take this and you never have to worry. Take this and you never have to remember a pill or
Right.
whatever.
I don't want to think about it. Whereas honestly, I mean, for me, it's a spiritual practice to be completely aware of the fact that I have the power to create life with this sexual act. Like, that is an erotic thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a scary thing. And I will place the sperm in or out of my body according to what I want to be doing with my physical body
Right.
at the time, and knowing my fertility cycle. And I think it's a healthy thing. And I wouldn't project, again, like, I don't think that I should be that way for everybody. But for me, it's a beautiful thing that's part of my sexuality.
Yeah.
Is that if I'm having penetration and I'm interacting with somebody who ejaculates sperm, I am conscious of that power to create a life. And it's an aspect of my sexuality that enriches it. It doesn't take away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I have reverence and respect for that power. It's never something that I wouldn't ever want to think about. So that's just really foreign to me. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to think about it. I'm like,
Right.
I love thinking about it. It's magic.
Yeah.
It's super fucking powerful. We have power to create life.
It's pretty amazing.
You can use your intentions to manifest things that are not human babies with that energy too, which I know that you have that study and that practice within your business and your inner life as well. Is like, when you're aware of the Taoist, the Tantric, and the spiritual essence of your sexuality,
Mm-hmm.
you are able to manifest, and you are able to heal things with that sexual power. And so when you have an IUD, when you're taking hormonal birth control, you're interfering with the natural flow of our organic biochemical ability to manifest. There's
Definitely.
a disconnect. There's an interruption there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samantha. We'll wrap up this video, and then if you're interested, those that are listening or watching, those of you who are interested in Samantha's work, where can they find you at?
Oh, yeah. SamanthaZipporah.com.
Okay.
Zipporah spelled Zipporah. And please, I have no one turned away for lack of funds for brief consultations. If you want more information and you want to just rap with me about your situation and see if we're good to work together, don't hesitate to reach out. And yeah, thanks for this opportunity to say howdy to your audience.
Awesome. And yeah, we'll post the links down below so you can find her easily. And then also she's got some really great classes coming up here in the fall. So thanks for listening and watching, everyone. And we'll see you on the other side.